Yeah. Peace, bless, love. Give thanks to that man above. You're now rocking with Mr. Uncommon.
Hello, everyone. How you doing? It's the Fresh Prince himself, Izzy Finesse.
And the one and only, Jay Confident. You already know. Remember, y'all, reclaiming your life begins with embracing growth, but never forget that true transformation is rooted with the experience of your community. Let's go!
Yeah.
Yo,
We are here, y'all.
we are here. We are in the middle of Hunts Point right now. As you can see, right, when the cameras turn, you're gonna be able to see the background of everybody just walking, just scrolling by. But if you're watching this, right, you're here for another great episode. And if you're new, please know that we're on the road to 1K, right?
1K.
So just help us get to 1K by please liking, sharing, and subscribing, and also follow us on Instagram.
Also, check us out on TikTok. We put out videos there too, man. Show some love. Shout out to the audio listeners. We appreciate y'all. We see y'all listening. We want y'all to continue listening. We drop stories, man. We appreciate y'all. Worldwide Off Xperience, y'all. Let's go. But this episode is sponsored by Listen to Network, y'all. Listen to Network. Let's go. Shout out Red Bull.
Yep. Shout out Red Bull. And this guy, Josh, is just coming off a double. So, he needs it right
So
now.
I'm gonna just take one right now because I need a drink one.
Yeah, so while he's taking his drink, we got a special guest here, man. Listen, in today's episode of Off Xperience, we are joined by a powerhouse of vision and transformation, Majora Carter. She's a real estate developer, an urban revitalization strategist, MacArthur Fellow, Peabody Award winner, broadcaster, and the mind behind the Boogie Down Grind Café.
What?
The first third space in the South Bronx since the 80s. Right? From shaping economy development and green infrastructure, to launching a hip hop themed coffee shop. Majora has reshaped her community with an unshakable belief that nobody should have to move out of their neighborhoods to live in a better one. Let's dive into her incredible journey of reclaiming her community and paving the way for others to do the same. Welcome to the show.
Oh my goodness. Thank you.
Yeah, round of applause. Matter of fact, drop some bombs too. Drop some bombs on that. By the way, too, before, I'm sorry, like, I just seen the sign right there and it says try our bacon, egg, and cheese on the waffle. And that just made me hungry.
Oh, it's really, really good.
Yeah.
It totally is. Like big Belgian waffles. It's like cut them in half and, here, regular
I'm gonna
BO.
come back and try it. After
egg and
this
cheese.
episode, I'm gonna come back and try that.
Good. Anytime.
But appreciate for you, giving us the opportunity to have you up on our podcast. So we appreciate it highly. Thank you.
Please, I'm honored to be on it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Really.
Yeah, it's great to see someone in your stature as a woman coming up and showing the world that, it starts within the community. Mm-hmm. And the way you move is great. Just real quick, just to start off with this one question. If someone was to tell a young you that you'd be an entrepreneur, activist, and author today, what do you think your response would be?
I'd probably laugh out loud. I really would have been. Although I might have considered being an author because I've been writing, since I was, as long as I could remember. Mm-hmm. But being in my community, oh, absolutely. If anything had anything to do with that, I'd be like, nah. Because, I grew up during, when the South Bronx was burning. And, I remember seeing it on the nightly news and, as being talked about as the place that nothing good came from. And, it had been portrayed as being nothing but pimps and pushers and prostitutes. Mm-hmm. And it was like, after a while, that kind of got to you as a little kid. So I remember that. And even though it was weird because there were still wonderful people in my neighborhood, my family, my friends. I mean, I remember being little and just knowing that the neighborhood loved me. It was like the kind of place where you would you walk up the street, and people, if you did something bad at school, they'd be like, look, I'm telling your mom. It was that kind of thing. And it was just that was beautiful. And so it was crazy making on one level to kind of know that the rest of the world never saw that, but it was enough as a kid for me to be like, well, maybe they see something else that I don't see and I need to get out.
Nice.
So
you know what's crazy? What you just finished saying right now, when people used to see you and go, "Oh, I'm gonna tell your mom," it was that culture was really like that.
Yes,
it was really like that. Like everybody, took care of each other in the
Yep.
community. So if they saw you down the block, best believe I'm going to tell your mom. Like,
In a second, it was like I already did. By the time it was like, how did you do that? By the time I got there, it's like, Dad.
You got your mom standing in front of the
Totally,
building.
it's just like, yeah, Miss Maria has told me, and I'm like, okay, yeah.
So you like hip hop, you love hip hop, right? Okay, so this one right here, man, because we're gonna go to the origin, right? Of like how they growing up in the South Bronx during the rise of hip hop shaped your perspective and on community and culture.
Oh my God, like I remember, I wish I could remember like the first hip hop song I heard, which I don't, which is embarrassing to say.
No,
but it was just
I'm
like,
with you because I don't.
yeah,
I'm
I
not,
truly
and I'm-
don't. But I remember like when there would be jams, at PS48 Park, and it would be like, I had to like sneak out and pretend that I was going to a friend's house because I was still a little young for that. And but it was just like, it was electric. Like it was just like never heard anything quite like it. And like believe me, it's like I loved music. It was like with Jackson 5 and the rest of they were all great. And it was like there was tons of music in my family, but this was just like
It was a different sound.
nothing we'd
Something
ever heard
new, right?
before.
Like,
yeah.
And oh man, and I even like made up my own raps. They were really bad, and I don't really remember them.
Oh,
but
I'll
my
have to put you on
DJ
the spot
name.
to be
But
like,
this
hey,
is what. But I remember my DJ my name. I was MC Welchie.
MC
Okay.
Welchie.
Because I loved Welch's grape juice, and I was like,
But that,
that I remember, and I remember my friends laughing at me because it's just like that's just stupid, because it kind of was.
Like actually goes though, because MC is actually your initials.
Exactly. So I was like, okay, totally. It would have been, yeah. If I just done MC, that would have been cute. But
Yeah.
no, Welchie. Like even
Yeah,
I will say
Welchie.
that was. I don't know what I was thinking.
I like that.
MC Welchie. Hey, listen,
I don't
you
even
got a little ring. You got a nice ring to it.
I don't even remember my
does.
first rap song either or anything like that. But I understand where you're coming from, like listening to the different type of tone, acoustic noise.
Just like the beats, like you couldn't help.
That
Like
boom
it
bap.
was like what? Yeah, it was just.
And
was
especially
fascinating.
if we was the people to be outside.
Yes.
You definitely saw that. You felt it. You know what I'm saying? That
It
was
was
what
everywhere.
out here. Come on, man.
Yeah.
It got to a part, right? Like as you get older, every season that goes by and you hear a song, you be like, it smells like winter. Like A. Marie's song, the one in the summertime when she got little poom poom shorts on and she's running through the streets.
I know.
That song right there. Every time I hear it, I can smell summer.
Wow.
Yeah, I can smell summer. Yeah, because it's like a summer song.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I love that song. That's one of my favorite songs.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
good. But I dig that. You're right. Like
That's
those
one of the
kind of
songs I know word
memories.
for word from beginning to end.
Yeah,
But yeah, I understand what you mean by the whole sound of music and growing up with a different type of sound. Because me being in a Hispanic house, my dad played salsa, and every instrument you hit it. Now he's like, all right, that's it. That's annoying now.
No, wait, no. I love it, but
That's
it's
pretty cool.
Yeah, it definitely is.
So, how did your upbringing prepare you or not prepare you for the challenges of being a leader in community? Revitalization. Did it start when did you like boss people around in the household?
Yeah, right. Because we definitely want to know from like at that time that
When
age,
you were young,
you were young,
so when you were young, did you tell mommy like, I think we should build the garden this way?
something gave it up. Like something that had to show like, oh, she gonna be sad.
No, that's so fun. No, that's hilarious. But I appreciate that question because I don't think I've been asked that. But I don't think I ever thought I'd be anything in community development.
Okay.
But what I do think I was prepared to do, because it was like, honestly, it was kind of crazy around here in a bunch of different ways. And what my mom definitely did do, supported by my dad as well, but it was just like, okay, you're a smart young kid, we're gonna support all of your creative endeavors, and we know you love to read, you got a nice, pretty good brain up there, and so they were just like, really encouraged me to like be very deliberate around my creative and artistic and educational pursuits, like even as a little kid, and I just appreciate that because it was like it never occurred to me that like I couldn't learn how to do something.
Okay.
You always had that support.
Yeah, and I think that in and of itself was great. But listen, I'm the youngest of 10, so there weren't a lot of people listening to me.
Your parents had no TV, but they had a lot of music.
Yes, we had TV, which was really, but this was like almost 60 years ago. Okay. So there weren't that many channels.
Yeah, it was like
Now,
three
all right, you
channels.
know, fair enough. Fair enough.
There's only
Like,
like 3 channels back
There
then.
really were.
you gotta hit the pop, pop, pop.
And the antenna-
Antenna and all that, bro. Like,
With the
got the
rabbit
red-
or better yet, the wire, the wire hanger.
Oh, so about the why you put in the little hole? Put in the little hole right there, you move it
worked.
around, you
And
bend it
no,
off.
and you'd have like the youngest, which was sometimes me, stand there and just like, just stand there and hold it for a little while. Just like, yo.
Don't move. All right, stay right there. You like, did you hold?
It's like, you don't want to see this show anyway. It's not some educational program. But that was actually I look back at that and I'm extremely grateful. But being the youngest of 10 really also taught me that I had to kind of like watch the way the world was moving around me, because I was littler than anybody else. And I had to kind of pay attention to see like how I could fit in. And that really was, I think, a big key to the strategy and how I started to roll when I did start moving into community development, because you can't do it by yourself.
Yeah.
You often have to do it with, if you're, especially frankly in neighborhoods like this, you have to be working with other folks that are outside your circle in order to get stuff done. And, I had big brothers who were just like, not interested in a little kid, or big sisters who felt like I was tagging along in all the wrong places. So maybe I think on some level that did kind of help me like understand like how to roll and really, in ways that made people feel like they were actually getting something out of having me around.
Yeah.
And you definitely saw like a lot of characters around, so at least, yeah, right? Like you knew how, like, I already know like this kind of person, this kind of person, this kind of person.
It's
So you
true.
learn how to deal with all that around you.
I think that's really true. Yeah, 100%. That's so
Right?
funny.
It's-
Yeah.
Yeah, like you was like ahead of your time too, because now that I see that you do real estate in the book, right? You said that at 8 years old, you was helping your father through the Times magazine, trying to find real estate and just going through the listings. And I can't even imagine myself being 8 years old and I'm calling the realtor. Like, yo, can you help my dad and explain to him?
I did do that. But I was actually, sitting on my dad's lap. We would go get the New York Times, which you couldn't get in this neighborhood. You can only get La Noticias or El Diario and the New York Daily News. That was it.
From the Bronx. She said it very clear.
Yeah, right.
She said it very clear. Like,
Yo tratando de aprender español. Pero
okay.
All right.
Okay.
See, that's what happens when you're around a lot of Puerto Ricans.
I do love the language. It's real. It's so beautiful. But it's that moment that you're describing it was me like sitting on my dad's lap, getting him the real estate section, and it was just like pointing out places that we should move to because I really wanted to get out of the Bronx.
How would you know what to pick at though? I'm sorry.
It was because you're right, because the only things that were in like those sections were like these really beautiful houses like in Long Island, and I was like, that's where I could see myself. Like, Daddy, we need to just get out of here, and he would just be like, yeah, and yeah, I did at one point, like, pick up the phone and call one of the realtors.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, real quick, to put y'all in your imagination real quick, she is the Bronx, the Boogie Down Café is located at 868 Hunts Point Avenue in the Bronx. So if y'all know the history of the Bronx, y'all can imagine and go into a nostalgic area right now with us.
Yeah, especially if you're like an 80s or 70s or 80s kid.
Right.
You'll definitely. Yeah.
I mean, I relate to it.
Because like even your husband, he was just showing us the picture from how this place right here exactly how it used to look.
Totally. Yeah.
It's a major difference.
Oh, yeah.
The drugstore, right?
Yeah, it was a drugstore. Yeah, ripped up.
Well, it was a drugstore, but then it became after with all the fires, became a crack house. And so we really we actually keep a photo of what this place used to look like back in the day when I was in high school.
Oh.
Yeah, and what I saw walking by here, which was really, it was a crack house. I mean, there was like somebody had stuck up cinder blocks on the walls, but of course they broke into it, and that's what I saw, and that was kind of feeding this idea. It's like, you know what, I'm gonna grow up and be somebody. I gotta get out of here,
Yeah, because like even like I really wanted to get into the book because I was reading it. I was like, yo, this book is so interesting. So you were coming up with the escape plan, right? After
it's true. That is exactly how I felt.
At such a young age, right? But the introduction, right? You had said, I will you said I will get caught trying because you did it first, and there was a message to your ancestors. So I really want you to, can you break it down for us on exactly what you meant?
Yeah. So I definitely believe that we are spiritual beings, and when our ancestors, when our family, friends pass away, so they're all our ancestors when it gets right down to it. You know, they were folks who, whether they were in my family or not, they were the people who like looked at us, and when they came, whether they were here already or when they came, you know, from Africa, how they were enslaved. The bottom line is like they survived and made it so that we could live.
Facts.
And we've got the stories, you know, like anybody from the diaspora, you know, knows that, or should know, actually many of us don't know, that their history was super hard and laden with just the worst stuff. But again, survived long enough so that we could be born. And if we are here, then I feel like all the things they went through, you know, should not be in vain, because they struggled to live and breathe, and here we are. I think we can do the same thing for future generations.
That's a fact. I like that. I definitely like that.
And I feel like now too, we kind of like starting to realize it. Like a lot more people are starting to realize that now, because now you see people doing different ventures with businesses, actually starting to start a business now. And I remember it was started like during COVID. Everybody was like, yeah, start a business, and everybody wanted to become Black entrepreneurs, everything Black owned. People was wearing just Black owned clothing. So it was like a whole thing, right? But getting into your book, in the introduction, you came up with a scenario, and it was like, imagine you was just sleeping, right? And a thief comes into your room, kicks you out, and now you just outside just looking. Now you just outside looking like, wow, like what just happened? And at first, I thought that was actually an experience that you went through. Until I kept reading, and it was like, no, that's just gentrification.
Yeah, no, that kind of is it, and it is, and I think that is sort of like the almost
That's
like
a good analogy.
It
though.
is, but it's like people feel like what
right
just yeah, and it's people feel like wait, what just happened here? Like I was here, I was in my community. It's like this was my neighborhood, and suddenly it's no longer ours. But the interesting thing is that, you know, a lot of folks will say it's like, oh, when, you know, gentrification starts to happen, when you see things like, you know, a cafe, you know, or a doggy daycare in a neighborhood where you definitely didn't see it before. Right. And I would argue that that's not when it happens. It happens long before that. It literally happens when people start in neighborhoods just like ours, you know, start to feel like there's no value in these neighborhoods. So, you know, and so they measure success by how far they get away from it. And they're just like, I'm bouncing, and don't realize that there are other folks who see the value in our communities and are counting on us not to. And that's when we sell early and cheap, not just if some of us who own property, but just emotionally and spiritually, like we've like written this place off, and if that's easy, then it's easy. Then we are so vulnerable to all of the predatory speculation, you know, to just people literally running into our communities and then going, that's cool, you know, and you know, oh, you have a little piece of property, you want to sell it? Okay, we'll take that. Right. And then you feel like, you wait, you know, you really want to buy this crap? But
is it where you at?
No,
yeah.
And
they're like, all right. But literally, we've lost a lot, you know, in our own communities. And I hear stories, unfortunately, every day, not just in the South Bronx, but all over the country, about how we're still, you know, our communities, especially Black and brown communities, are going through this in a crazy, crazy way. And I'm like, no, we need to see the signs and know it will happen.
Yeah. And it is. If you don't fight for it, it is.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It definitely is. And like you said, people lost hope. Right? Because of what's going on. And
they did.
You know what I'm saying? And it is what it is. You saw a gem in something that, look, and it blends in nice.
Yeah.
Right? It blends in nice. So if we can have more of that, then it'll be a better way.
Yeah,
but, you know, but like you said before, like you have to work with outside sources and stuff like that. A lot of people don't educate themselves enough to do so, right?
Yeah.
They blame their environment.
I know.
You know what I mean? And that's just like a victim's mentality, I guess.
It
right?
is.
And, you know, it's sad. And I hope that they can actually see things like this and they go, damn,
Well, they do. I mean, and that's what's so exciting to sort of be in the situation, that I'm in, because, look, and it really was like this aha moment when I realized how all the things that I was thinking about my own community were kind of just pretty much placed there. And it wasn't just me. I mean, this is so many of us feel this way. That our neighborhood doesn't really have much value. You stay in it, then something's wrong with you, and the people that are left behind, there's something wrong with them too. And it's just like, that's like white supremacy, like at its core when it gets right down to it. But it's very effective. I mean, on some level, I mean, it seduces us all in some way, shape, or form. White people too, and that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is that when you start, but stepping out, when I realized, and I honestly remember this. I remember. I don't remember the first hip hop song, but I remember when it came to me, the fact that it was because we happened to be, a poor community, Latino and Black, and politically vulnerable, that we were getting, the city and the state were building, huge waste facilities and power plants and all sorts of things in our community because we happened to be poor and of color.
Right.
And I was like,
Wait a minute.
wait, this is this is what they do in our communities, and we kind of go oh, it just sucks to be us. We should move. It's like, no, it never sucked to be us. Never, ever, ever, ever.
Amen.
So look what we've been through, and we're still here.
Facts.
We are still here. So how about we work to try to figure out, or how about because I couldn't talk for anybody else, but how about I actually do something and to work toward the kind of future that I knew we were capable of having in our community.
Which is cool because a lot of people, they look at the start line as very overwhelming.
Yeah.
So they're afraid to even go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The way you're moving it is every time you step one foot in front of the other, you're accomplishing
Something.
And that right there alone is that's the beginning of it right there.
Yeah, I was just so grateful because that is something that I do. I have always been able to count my blessings, like knew they were coming, but also celebrating small victories, and just because it's like something changed. It didn't have to, it did. So can we just celebrate that? And I think I've been very encouraging of folks, to do that as well.
Right.
Yeah.
She give me with the ha-ha
No,
moment.
yeah.
I literally had a question. I said, what was your ha-ha moment? The aha moment.
Yeah.
So that will go to another question. When you was a kid, when you saw damn, I gotta do something, right? What was the turning point or the epiphany you had that made you realize the deeper social issue affecting your neighborhood?
Yeah, I mean, it was like understanding why our city was targeting us for these environmentally poisonous things, and it was just you do that, but it because it's been done for so long historically. It was just of course they're going to do that, but it's we don't gotta abide by it, and I could certainly do something. And it seemed to me the first thing to do was remind people in our community how amazing they were. And it was my first approach at this talent retention community development strategy that we did, which was basically give people reasons to look at their own community and see it as valuable so they'd want to stay. And actually at that point fight for it, because again, the city wanted to build another huge waste facility on our waterfront, and if people didn't get up and be no, I really think it would have happened. But we had to give them something to feel hopeful about. So my very first project was transforming a street end in Hunts Point into, it's been used as a dump for decades, and we were able to transform that into what's now a national award-winning park.
Oh.
Yeah.
And just because, again, it was giving people something else to look at and to understand, no, your neighborhood is not just a dump, okay? This is just because our city and state think it is, and maybe even some of us think that it is. But guess what? It's not. And so we have to come up with something. We have to show you that it's actually, we're a waterfront community. We have this river there. There's opportunities for it to grow into this beautiful, beautiful park. And it went through stages, and the first one was hilarious. It was literally, we called in every favor we could. Con Ed actually donated their guys with heavy equipment to come in and pull some of the garbage out.
Oh, wow.
crazy pants. We like put in like a little fake access road that was just basically in case like somebody got hurt, they would be able to get an ambulance through. So it's an ADA accessible road, that kind of stuff. And our water feature, because we were like really wanted a water feature, we had the hydrant that actually had been broken off because it was a street, but it was gone for like decades. We had that reactivated and then just like put on like a little, like, you know, the little, like the summertime pumps. And that was our water feature.
Nice. And it's improvised. That was dope.
We totally did. And it was, but it was beautiful. Like the Senior Citizen Center would do like dance classes down there. You know, some of the schools, that was very, very cute.
It gave us something to do now.
No, totally. And now it's quite beautiful. I mean, really, it totally is.
That park down the block.
That's where
that's the one. That's the one.
Yeah,
you know what's crazy? I seen the before it got built, right? Like I used to drop my daughter off in my cousin's house, right? Where I say. So every time I go pick her up or drop off, I will always have to pass down through there. So, and it was like you said, it was just nothing.
No,
just,
there was
the metal disposal, whatever the case.
Yeah.
Nothing around it. After they fixed, I was like, whoa.
Yeah. So like,
whoa.
Like I still get that feeling too, because I'm a big believer. Like, yo, I'm never gonna leave the Bronx. Like I don't want to leave at all. And like every time I'm driving by the Bronx, or like whether I'm taking the train, like I still get inspired because I'm like, yo, there's so much space that people like that we could do here, and we could make it look beautiful, right?
Yeah.
So like you definitely changed my mindset on that. And I was talking to them before about this, and I was like, because you know places like Juices for Life, they got more health and wellness, like health and wellness spots now in the Bronx. So I was like, I asked y'all, I was like, did they ever have this back then? And
not really.
Yeah, I didn't. So now that we seeing that now
like
too,
juice bars and stuff.
Yeah, now we put in health and wellness in the Bronx now. You know, you with the cafe, so it's becoming a beautiful thing now. To witness it.
The transformation is great. I mean, not only in the Bronx though too, but like whenever I seen somebody put that whole goldfish pond and the little tree thing in Brooklyn, I thought it was very creative, but it made the community come together and be like, yo, let's go check out this little monument that this guy created.
So
and
crazy.
People actually take pictures of him, like, yo, look at me.
Right.
No, there's one right around on Garrison. It's got one of those, like the hydrant is often in it, and we're just like, we just got to remember to get some goldfish.
There you go.
That was hilarious.
And he keeps it there. Look. And then you know what's sad about that too? That people come vandalize it.
Like,
why?
Have they?
Yeah.
Oh,
they
you
vandalize
But he came back and he redid
it again. But it's like, why? Like,
you know
these
you know
people,
why?
man, I swear.
You know why? Because
just haters.
people don't know that they're loved.
It's not haters, it's the fan club.
You hear that? No,
Yeah.
you hear
Fan
that?
club.
But you hear what she just said?
Yeah, they don't know that they loved.
Yeah,
That's a
it's
fact.
like that's why they do it. I mean, I feel like, and it's socially isolated people who don't feel that they're loved,
They're not a part of something.
that they're actually as divinely made as everybody else. That's what they do. And I think we've got a lot of that unresolved trauma, in our communities, where it's just like that's like the first strike. It's just like
bother people bother people.
but hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
Saying it is very true.
Just to see that, it makes me like, why you even live here?
I know, I know, but but that's why I feel like our approach really is about creating those kind of experience so people can feel, even if it's just for a moment, like we really train our team here. It's just like, look, you don't know what people are going through, like in their lives, you really don't. So just like when they come in, make them feel good about being here, and it's simple, but and I get it
too. I seen when we came, what you're saying is totally true.
That's exactly what we felt.
When we came, the guy was like, I come from Brooklyn. Like, he was a guy from Brooklyn. I come from Brooklyn. I came to perform. And he was so passionate about it because the opportunity that was given to him, right? And you saw it. I was like, damn, man. Like,
one
that
of
was
the
dope,
poets,
man. Right?
One of the poets I had.
Yeah, because you, I mean, you're the queen of Hunts Point. If you think about it,
I wouldn't go that
saying
far.
it here first.
But there's a lot of queens in that.
No. You making it very comfortable walking the streets, even though people have that tunnel vision of Hunts Point,
and they do.
Which is true. I mean, mind your business, keep moving. You know what I mean? But then again, if you see something, say something.
Yeah,
let's
it's
keep
true.
the community unified.
Yes.
And make sure that everybody stays safe. Because I remember, like, when we started the podcast, right? I remember I had a cop when I was younger. His name was Smitty, right? He knew my parents. So even before I even went to a store and thought about doing something, he'll tell me, don't even think about it.
Exactly. Yep. Don't you love that?
And I love
That's
it.
true.
And to bring that would be dope to bring that back, right?
Yeah.
Where a cop be like, yeah, I took care of a couple kids that, you know, that were wrong, and I put them under the wing. You know what I'm saying? And
You know, the way society is now,
it divided the community.
It divided and law enforcement as well.
Yeah. 100%.
Right? Because they, you know, everybody want to record something,
Right.
and I'm not saying, you know, things don't happen, but when you create that just off of impulse,
Yeah.
for no reason, now you just
Right.
antagonizing things that should not be.
Like
No.
that,
Okay.
no, go ahead.
I wrote that. Gosh, when I first started, well, it wasn't that long ago, but it was like we used to have like actual beat cops,
Okay.
and we had one. It was Officer Malave.
What?
Do you know him?
No, that's my last name.
No way.
I swear to God.
What?
I swear, that's our last name. That's our last name.
That's
Yeah. That's what he said. What?
I wonder if you're related.
Yo, shoot, I might. I don't even know. Like,
Okay, because he was. You know, he was.
I don't really know my dad's side like that much. So yeah, but when you say that, it's
because it's not that many Malaves. I
Right,
know.
yeah.
I know. There was I had a Nelson Malave who lived on my block, and he and my brother were like
That's crazy.
thick like thieves. So I was like, and he was the second Malave I ever met.
That's
And you're
wild.
the third.
My dad's name is Johnny Malave. So,
Wow.
like, if you ever ask, like, you know Johnny Malave, like, so maybe I don't know. I don't know.
We gotta do a test somewhere down the line.
Facts
Yo,
for
for
both
real.
of them too.
That's crazy. No,
Wow,
but yeah,
that is
wrong.
crazy. But he was incredible because he was like this, like he was a bike cop. The NYPD used to have like bike cops, and he patrolled by himself. That man could do a drug bust, like and this was like literally, this was an apartment building actually on the 600 block of Manhattan that was really, really hot. He was able to do drug bust by himself because people didn't see him coming. But he was also like that guy. Because he was cool, he was like really strong, and he would like wear his little hat backward, no helmet, which
respected
is
him
like
more crazy.
totally. And he would like roll up, like still weird. He's dressed like a cop because he was a cop, but it was just something about him, and people loved this man.
He was part of the hood.
Loved him, and present company included. Like, and the kids loved him. Like, old ladies loved him. Like, hood boys loved him. I mean, it was just like okay. And he, it was so when you were talking like that, I was like, we've had that, and we so need some more of that.
Definitely need
Lord
some more.
knows we
it's
do.
okay to come out to the vehicle, and
Yes.
say hi to the people.
Yeah, I wish there was more, and I get it. I actually went through a training to understand like what cops go through, but
Really?
it's because I
Nice.
wanted to see what literally like what are you taught?
You see that I love that you said that right there. And this is one thing that we don't give ourselves the opportunity to actually learn.
Yeah.
What's actually involved and stuff. And you doing that is like, okay, you was curious, I'm pretty sure. Like I want to know what is they go through and all that,
I
right?
heard
Like,
it's kind of rough. Like in the very, very beginning when you go into training, you got people screaming at them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard it's rough.
Oh no,
which is fine.
it was
That's dope.
it was insane. I have to say.
That's good. That's good though. I mean, shout out to anybody who wants to start a community activist
Right.
thing. Just learn within the community, and it's always good to start within the NYPD to know how to handle
Yeah.
the jurisdiction within,
Or at least
NYPD.
understand it, because there's like there's constrictions that they have to do. Not to say that there aren't like crappy cops. There are.
Yeah.
But and other cops will tell you that in a heartbeat, which I was like,
So-
okay.
So now you're talking about the political and all that stuff, right? Like, how do you think the nonprofit industry complex and political powers have contributed to the systematic issues in marginalizing communities?
Yeah, I think they all came, from I think the historic inequities that happened in this country from its beginning, and even the fact that, I mean, look, the police came from literally they were slave catchers, like that's where they started.
Yes, yep.
Okay, the elected officials were whether they were the framers of the Constitution, they were literally designed to support their own interests when it came right down to it. And I think even the nonprofit industrial complex was kind of like sort of like an almost not an offshoot of it, but it was designed so in some level to deal with the things that government kind of didn't want to deal with or felt like that somebody else could do it. But it was done in a way that was often just straight up kind of like patronizing, in terms, it was like really very wealthy people's money, sort of putting it in like the Carnegies and the
Roosevelt's.
yes, you know, and all of them. So
Rockefellers.
just the Rockefellers, but it was just sort of like, and then they would sort of determine like how that money was spent, you know, to help those less, obviously less wealthy, a lot less wealthy, but the poor, the indigent, yada yada yada. You know, deal with healthcare crisis and all that. But ultimately, I still believe that it was how it even went into the world, whether it's not always like super wealthy folks that are doing it, but ultimately I think the foundation of it was that the communities that were often the problems that we were dealing with were literally created by those in power.
That's true. Yeah, you're right.
And it's just kind of like, so, but when it came right down to it, if you just follow literally the money and statistics, you realize that all through all the money that's been spent, that the issues still stay the same.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, then you just then if nothing
questioning,
else,
you're like, "Oh."
that just means we should look a little more deeply into it. And so that's why I'm like, if this is a system that's designed to perpetuate itself, as evidenced by the fact that statistically, health outcomes, educational attainment, you know, the justice system, all of these things are actually, they've not gotten any better, like historically.
Right.
And I'm like, maybe we should just examine that a little bit.
Right.
And that's so it's not like I don't think that the nonprofit world doesn't do some great stuff. Believe me, there are some highly effective groups, but I think overall, it really does. We need to spend a little more time examining: are we actually trying to really solve the problems that we're setting ourselves up to, or are we continuing to perpetuate the industrial complex itself?
Yeah.
And I think that's where it's going down to. I think people just, like you said, they follow the money.
Yeah.
So the nonprofit, you know, it could be started out for good.
Yeah.
But the intent is not what you perceive to be, right? Like, it's not, okay, we're gonna try to do this and this, but we're gonna get paid over here.
Yeah, that's the creation of the sin of greed. You know
what I'm saying?
What happens
So-
is a wrap. You get lost from there.
Yeah, and I actually like how we on this topic too, right? Because you had also mentioned the PLEM, which is the poverty level economic maintenance, and that's basically when, you know, these they making money off the liquor stores, the fast foods, restaurants, and it's like all that money is not being generated back into communities.
Yeah.
So it's like, how are we gonna get better when no money is being you getting all the money from these neighborhoods, right? But no money's being generated back into it.
Right, or huge, you know, I mean, healthcare, you know, pharmacies, huge, a huge amount of that, the money that is made through that, you know, comes from neighborhoods like this, because it is because of chronic issues, you know, health issues, you know, environmental issues, you know, that relate to it, all that stuff. But again, if we're just sort of dealing with the symptoms, you know, that there are environmental issues, that there, you know, people don't feel, you know, comfortable like getting physical exercise, that there aren't, you know, different diverse options for people, you know, to find food in some areas, then, and we're also like not providing opportunities for decent housing, you know, job creation, business development, you add all that together, and then you realize, but wait, there's a lot of money still being made, you know, in these communities. And then I'm like, well, but we're still one of the poorest parts of the entire country.
That's crazy.
And we're not doing well, like physically, mentally, emotionally, certainly not financially.
You know what's crazy? I'm just quiet here now because I'm listening to you talk, and I'm like, I've never noticed what you just finished saying right now about the pharmacies. I swear, if I'm putting myself when I go travel somewhere else out of here, you don't see pharmacies. And I'm like, whoa, that is true.
So now,
There's like 20 between here and Westchester, and the little streets going off. At least 20.
And that's why I was about to jump off. I was
crazy.
about to piggyback off of it, because while she was saying that, the first pharmacy that came to my head is the one on under the 2 train right there by Simpson, right there. That little island.
Yep.
It's always packed.
Yeah,
Bro.
it is.
Packed out. And the only thing they have is a front desk.
Yeah.
And everything is in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's always packed. So when she says, I'm like, you know what? She's right.
That's crazy. Yo, that shit just blew my mind right now.
Yeah.
Yo, it's these things that we miss.
Yeah.
Just
No,
like the
yeah,
bodegas
'cause
in the
we-
community. As
Oh,
well.
Holy shit.
And like we around it 24/7,
Yeah.
but until we open our minds up
Yep.
to really notice what's going on, then
Yep.
it's like, okay,
Let's handle
you
it.
see,
That's
yeah.
crazy, bro. Like,
No, it's true.
mad pharmacies. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And liquor
It's like they're not
stores.
even
And
that
the
many
liquor stores,
people
like-
here.
Come on, really? Like, how many pharmacies you need in one block?
Yeah, that's how I feel right now with these smoke shops. You got smoke
Yeah.
shops everywhere now, and it's like, where did it come from? Where did these smoke shops come from?
And they're
So-
allowing them. They're allowing
Right.
them.
No, not
that's-
now. Now they shutting them down.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, it's
they're
getting
trying.
overwhelmed. Like, every little 2 steps you take, there's a smoke shop. Like,
Yeah. But like even coming from the Bronx, right? Do you think like it made you have tough skin, like just seeing everything that was going on?
Is that even a
and-
question, bro?
It's kind of true, yeah. But it's a good question
That's a
because,
great question.
I can be like, tender and soft too, which I am. But yeah, I mean, there's just like a certain, it's a certain hardness that I think we kind of have to.
Yeah, because we walk around with like that, just that aggressiveness already. And I know you was going to school and college, and they looked at you like, oh, where you was from, the Bronx? Oh, prostitute.
Yeah.
So it's
Damn.
It's,
like, yeah, so that's why I'm asking,
Yeah,
like,
they were
how
not
was
subtle.
it? Like, how did you overcome that right there?
especially at Hunts Point, that shit was like,
Oh, yeah.
wild.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this was before the HBO show. This was long before, and that was like other level. I was like, wow.
That's what was happening. Damn.
I told myself, Ma, we ain't never going to Hunts Point. I remember that show.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I used to work at HBO like before they did that, and for the department that actually produced that show.
Wow.
And I was working in Hunts Point, doing my thing, and I was just like, didn't even have HBO because I could not afford it. But I heard it came out, and it was just like, you've got to be kidding. I was so mad, and we wrote a letter, to my former boss. Of course, she never wrote back. It's okay. One of these days, I'm sure I'll.
You get a reply back?
No, she never wrote back. But I bet our paths are gonna cross again.
Of course. It's a small world.
Yeah, totally.
And listen, everything happens for a reason.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
But like, how was your college experience having to go through all of that, and then just knowing like, all right, people's gonna look at me this way just because of where I'm from?
Oh well, that's why I took great pains to help people not see where I was from, because that was like even before I even got to school. That experience was when there was like a pre-college visit. I was like, I think I was still 16, and these were like older, almost seniors, and so I really was just like a deer in the headlights, and these were like people I like just looked up to because they're already at the school. I'm trying to get there, and yeah, I was just like, okay, and that was that. I clocked that. I was like, okay, people don't need to know where I'm from because this is what they think.
And they're gonna judge you behind that.
Totally.
Yeah, for sure.
100%. So I was like, nah.
That's tough cookies.
Sometimes, and I don't want people to get this misconstrued. Like, it's not that you're not proud of where you're from. It's just that sometimes you have to play these games to get ahead of what your gender is.
Yeah.
Right,
Well, at that
so-
point, I was not proud of where I was from. I mean,
Okay,
no
okay.
ifs, ands, or buts about
Okay,
it. I was
she's
just
straight up.
like, I'm trying to make something of my life. I'm at this big institution, and they're looking at me like I'm less than. So I'm not even gonna share that. Now, did I think it was fair? 100% no. Like even because I was just like, because again, like I knew my friends and family, and I'm like, y'all don't even know us.
Right.
You don't even know.
Right.
But I was like, but you know what? But I also knew I don't make the rules, and it was just easier to just be like that. Now, oh please,
Oh, it's a
no.
wrap.
People
Yeah.
act like that around me.
Don't
That's
even-
my
don't
husband.
even.
At one point, we were coming from something at the New York Botanical Gardens, like some I don't know, some fancy thing for something. I don't even remember. But on the ride back, because they had to like take you like in a van to the parking lot, and somebody, I heard him, he was in the back of this little sweet little van saying something like, yeah, and it's like this, and he was like dressed in a tux and everything. Some white dude talking about the South Bronx. And I was like turned around, and I was just like, "What are you saying?" And I was like, "But in my sweetest, nicest voice, because of course, like I know, like I'm a black girl, I'm a big one to begin with, so it's like I have to be real sweet, because otherwise people just think I'm always angry." And I'm like, "I'm not," but I was just like, "What are you talking about? Can you share that? Like, why would you say something like that?" And he was just like,
"What order do I give you?" Like,
yeah, and he was just like. I got scared. He did get a little scared, and he probably should have been.
And that's the funny part about it. You try to ask them nice, like, "Oh, just tell me why," and they look at you like, "No, hold on." I don't know. I don't know. Why is she asking that?
You were
like,
really loud before. It's like, you know what?
Should've
I'd
kept my
like to,
comments
that,
to
you know,
myself.
that's my phone.
Like, that's the calm before the storm. Like, whoa. Revert back to it.
It's true.
Yeah, because they will put every type of smut on your name.
Yep.
Just in any way. I don't care how you act.
Yeah, they would.
It's
They're
true.
just going to proceed you to be however they want to see
They
you.
would, and like I got to experience that when I went out to Vegas, right? And me and my girlfriend, we going out to go do the ATVs in the desert. So first we have to go meet this guy in some place where we go, and then the van takes us to the desert. Yeah. So he's asking us, he's like, "Yo, so where y'all from?" We like, "The Bronx, New York." He was like, "Oh, the Bronx." He was like, "Bro," he was like, does anybody just throw their trash on the floor? Like, you have no trash can? I was like, "Yo, bro,
That's crazy.
I don't know."
That's
Everybody.
a stereotype thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was like, "Wow, bro, that's crazy," because that's how they look at us in Vegas. Okay.
Yeah.
Because they don't throw their trash.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Like,
right?
believe me, there are some places there that you definitely do.
Oh yeah, yep.
We got rats, we got this, we got that.
No, yeah, but like that was like one of my many experiences, because even like everywhere where we go and you tell them that we from the Bronx, they always have something to say. Always. Even from like a hat that you're wearing, you could be wearing the Yankees hat. And they're like, "Oh yeah, that's a New Yorker right there."
Even within the 5 boroughs, you tell somebody.
Oh, I
"Y'all
know.
from the Bronx." I'm like, "Damn, bro, for real?"
Yeah, I know.
Yo, but like even right? Like even you tell somebody from Brooklyn, they go look at you like, "Oh."
I was like,
Them Bronx.
Like, bro, y'all
although
a little
it's
wild over
still
there.
hilarious, because my first apartment out of college was in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. How did you manage that? Brooklyn and Bronx really don't get along,
Well,
supposedly.
how
how did that work?
We went for a cheap apartment. It was
Does it work?
it was $400 for like
yeah,
this huge 1-bedroom. We were like, okay, we were psyched. But I remember it was a rainy day when we went to look at the place, so there was nobody out. Beautiful architecture, but really beautiful. And then we went back, and I was like, "Y'all talk about the Bronx?" Excuse me? Oh, it was insane. I couldn't believe how loud. There was definitely it was dirty. People were just like crazy. I totally made friends with the drug dealers in my neighborhood, because I was like, I need a little protection, because this place is like, yeah, and I never felt that way here.
Hey, see?
Never.
Freely.
And it's crazy
Yeah.
because they come over here and it's a different vibe for them.
Totally. It is just
Right?
like,
So
You get lost.
Yeah, and that's so true, right? And that's so true, because you got other people telling us that we live in a very dangerous place. It's very gutter, and it's like, but we feel safe.
yeah,
I could
totally.
walk down the block to the store, and I could feel safe. I'm
Yeah.
gonna get a chopped cheese or whatever. And
Yeah.
Yeah, the homeless man
I
has
don't see
been
it like that,
The
yeah.
homeless man has been yelling all day. I'm gonna walk right by him and say, "Yo, what's
Exactly.
up, bud?"
Yeah.
he gonna say what's up to you.
Exactly.
He gonna stop yelling, look at you. You good? Yeah, I'm good. All right, just keep doing his thing.
Exactly. So
It's real. Gosh, that's yeah. We definitely have our homeless friends, and who are just like, who watch our back, and
Let me
even
tell
some
you
of the
something,
drug
though,
dealers.
Majora.
I gotta tell you, and users.
But even when we were here the last time, right? We came, we saw, we loved it. Then we went back to the car, right? We seen a tooth on the floor.
A tooth.
So we all like, "Yo, what is that?" It's a tooth. It was like an actual tooth with the root and everything.
Oh.
Yeah, right? So peep it.
Oh, I bet
So
I
we
know
all
who it
looking at
was.
it like, what? So this homeless man.
Yeah. He's just like, oh, dropped him.
He's looking at it too, like, "Hey,
He
what's
came out
that?"
of nowhere, like,
come out of nowhere. Then the first thing that comes out his mouth, "And hey, I got $1."
he tried to swindle his way in and tried to ask for $1.
Well, he was just like bonding with you
Yeah.
over somebody's tooth.
Over somebody's tooth. Almost had us. We were like, nah, man.
You gotta love the Bronx, man. You gotta love it.
You gotta.
You gotta
This
love
place
it.
is too
No, you
much.
do. right? But you went to Bronx Science, right?
I did.
Bronx Science. That's
Nice,
yeah. And I actually remember I had a coach that was coaching my middle school. He was actually a basketball coach for Bronx Science, and Bronx Science just always had that stigma on it. Like if you go to Bronx Science,
You rich.
yeah, or you're smart, you're the smartest person.
I don't know about rich, but definitely smart.
So
And that was pretty true.
Yeah, it was right. So like, how was your experience in Bronx Science?
To start, it was deeply humbling because so here I was like always in the top 3, smartest kids in my class, right? Graduated 8th grade, honors, blah blah blah. Nice. Here, got there, and before we went to take the test, some of our teachers literally tutored us for like months before, and some of us got in, but I got to science and realized that there were students there who were like they were taking like trigonometry already
As
like
a freshman?
As freshmen.
Wow.
And that was my first understanding that I was like, oh, things are different around here. Like, they went to public school too, but they went to public school in like much better neighborhoods than this. And yeah, and I was just like, and I almost failed my entire first semester, like almost everything, which was, I thought I was gonna die because like
it was overwhelming.
Yeah, it was really, because here I was like my brain was the best thing I had going for me, and I almost failed. Like, and I didn't fail exactly, but I got tutoring and did okay. But that was how I learned. Like that was I think one of the first things I learned. Like things are so inequitable, and I didn't have the language, and I was like 13 at the time, but I was just like, I knew something was wrong. Like I knew that like there were some communities that were treated one way and others that were not, and it showed.
It sure did. Because honestly, the Bronx High School of Science is literally across the street from DeWitt Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
So to actually see that, you're like, all right, should I go to the dark side or should I go to the light side? Because the light side seems like they make some moves out here.
They
You know what I'm
do.
saying? But God bless the people who actually graduated out of Clinton. You know,
Yes,
they did their
and
thing,
there were plenty of people that did.
Yeah.
And Clinton actually had a really, really good
Clinton
special
was a-
program, like an AP program, and it was like a whole dedicated lane. And I knew some young folks that went through that, and it was amazing. Yeah.
Those are things they don't have now, like those programs and stuff like that in high school, which it sucks, man, because like you said before, it's designed to make us fail.
Yeah.
And they start pulling these things out, and what do you got left?
Yeah.
Unless you don't seek it yourself,
Yep.
you can't wait for them to actually put that there, right?
Totally.
And even with everything that's going on, I love and adore how you fight for all communities, not just our inner city communities, but the trailer parks or Native American reservoirs. We often hear that small actions lead to big changes. What's the most surprising small action you've seen turn into a massive transformation in a community?
In anyone's community?
Any
I mean, there's like a ton. I mean, I do feel really blessed because I get to be in contact with folks all over the country and around the world, who are doing their thing. Like one of my favorite ones right now is out in Oakland, and an amazing woman leads this organization called East Bay Permanent Real Estate Cooperative. And I actually talked about it in my book too. But they started a real estate cooperative where they were able to buy, as a community, real estate.
That's dope.
And they took over this one spot that was called Esther's Orbit Room, and it was like this like music club that was just like shuttered for a while, like after the owners died and they couldn't keep it up, but they were able to buy this property, and they also were able to buy other property nearby. So there's like they're doing like some permanently affordable rentals, artist space. They opened up the club again, and I just got word that they bought another property.
Nice.
And so it's like, but they're like raising money, from the community to buy
That's
this
dope, the
thing.
community
It's
comes
really, but it started as just like, could we even do this? Like, is it a possibility? And it was just that, like, because out in Oakland, it's right next, it's in the Bay Area, so it's like some of the most expensive real estate in the country. But they were just like, we can figure this out, and they did, and did some crowdfunding, and just, I mean, I was just like,
Fire.
yeah, and like nobody thought they could do it, and I'm just like, no, there are folks that are doing this all over this country.
Anything is possible.
Yeah, and it just makes me really proud.
That's good to hear. I love it.
Well, listen, as much as it makes you proud, look at you. Congratulations to you. You got your store, your other space over there, the Bronx Landia.
Oh yeah,
You know
that's
what I'm
pretty
saying?
fun.
Let's talk about that.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
please.
so like what's so crazy? Like when we first came over here, I did not know that spot right there was that historical. Like I didn't know that you did your TED Talk there too, and you do a lot of events there. So I was like, I pass by this all the time, and you know what the thing is? I never seen it open before because you usually have the gates closed down.
Yeah.
So I was like, I pass this all the time, and I never knew this is what you what you guys do there.
I remember when it was a strip club.
Yes, exactly. So,
Like that.
when you do your B-rolls, you remember that sign.
Yeah.
That was in the window.
With the bars in front of it.
Yes, exactly. With the bars in front of it. But yeah, that was the first thing we did when we got the building and got the keys to it. We walked into that strip club and we took that sign, carried it home. Me and my husband, and it's heavy. It's not.
It looks heavy.
And literally, it sat in our living room for like 2 years.
Get out.
Are you guys like collectors?
Yes, we call all this stuff urban archaeology because it really. It confused me in part because almost all of the signs actually come from that like early hip hop, like classic hip hop, and like
very
at the
vintage,
time.
very vintage.
It is all
that's
of it.
what I was saying before you had came. I was like, every time I walk in here, I just get like a nostalgic vibe
Yes,
from it.
totally, and it's that classic hip hop, and it does. It's like makes you like go like, oh yeah, and like bop your head. It was all like good. We just loved it all. We had a good time.
Homie.
Yes.
So what was the idea or the motivation behind that?
Oh, Bronxlandia?
Yeah.
Then here's something funny. Literally, I had an office. My office was above the auto glass on the corner, right? And I remember I was standing, looking out the window, and the strip club, the owner of the strip club, had the ground lease for that building because you remember if it was split into like a bunch of different storefronts. He died right after he pretty much signed, I think, a 20, maybe a 30-year lease. He'd had a 20-year lease before, and then he passed away. And so, like the folks that were there, basically were just like got free rent, but because Amtrak, who owned the building, didn't like collect the rent because it wasn't like a big moneymaker or anything for them. So they ended up, and so the Amtrak decided to evict the tenants. Okay. Right. And it was just like you got to go, and everybody did. Sierra's the beauty shop. Everybody found another place. It wasn't that hard at the time. And I remember looking down at the building, and it started since it wasn't open. It was getting graffiti, but not the good kind of graffiti. It was just like the kind that makes you go, it's a cry for help. You just need to be. Somebody needs to like give you a hug and tell whatever.
It's not even art.
Yeah, it's not. Definitely not. But then I looked up the street and saw 3 pharmacies. And I was like, that's our main street. This is like our big commercial area, and there's 3 pharmacies. And I looked at that building, empty, realized it's right across the street from the station, from the Hunts Point train station, the subway station, knowing that there's also going to be Metro North service.
Yes, there is.
Okay, coming. And I was just like,
prime real estate.
This is crazy that this is like what we see. The first thing we see when anybody comes into this neighborhood, pharmacy, and a abandoned-looking building.
Yeah, so once people do that, they start adding things together to make one whole big picture of a crack-headed neighborhood.
Yes, and I was just like, you know what? That is a beautiful building, and I didn't know like the history of it because it was done by America's first famous architect, Cass Gilbert. It's the same architect that did the Woolworth Building. Do y'all know that building downtown? It's one of my favorite. It's a beautiful, beautiful building, and I was like, oh, found out about that, and then literally a few days later, just like cold email to Amtrak. Interested in acquiring your building. Had no idea that they would even bother to respond. And I remember hearing that they were hard to work with, so I was about to put it in my calendar, just like ping them every now and then, like once a month or so. They wrote me back within days.
Wow.
And was just like, oh, okay, we should talk. And I was like,
I
don't even know what to talk about. I mean, I was just like, didn't expect anybody to say anything. It was just like a lark because I got tired of looking at everything. And but that's what it was. It was like, we can do better than this. Yes. We can do better. This is the gateway to our community. And then came up with a plan real quick. And initially we wanted to turn it into a like a food hall for local chefs, because the Bronx got some very great culinary talent.
They do.
They sure do.
But many of them take their talent and leave, like Ghetto Gastro, like born and bred, South Bronx born, and they're like everywhere except here.
You don't feel that opportunities
because and there are other opportunities, and so, but that's why we were like, but we couldn't find investors to help us with that at all, because we certainly couldn't do that on our own, but we realized maybe we should just, in part, to be fair, the raccoons had gotten into the building by the time we got it. I mean, it did. It smelled like raccoon. It was disgusting. And all of the different storefronts had to drop ceilings or second floor. So it was like, so you couldn't tell like how cool that building was.
How about the space and all that stuff? Yeah.
Until my husband and I literally went in and did the initial demolition for the old pizza shop. It's ourselves. We did that in one day. Filled a 20-yard dumpster with sledgehammers and crowbars. It was kind of crazy.
When you want something, you work for it.
Yes.
You get it. You put your grind into it.
I mean, the history alone is just like, it used to be an Amtrak train station.
Yeah.
And you.
Oh no, not even Amtrak. This was like when it was a train station. This was before Amtrak even existed. This was like when wealthy men owned the rail lines. So that's why they were hiring like these amazing architects to do like these fancy buildings that were just kind of like ridiculous. But I'm psyched. It's the first steel reinforced concrete building, one of the first like in the country.
Yeah.
So it's built like a tank. So yeah,
I ain't gonna hold you.
Yeah.
When we were told that we were going to Bronxlandia, we were like, well, what if we fall into the?
No, we're gonna work on making sure you don't fall.
No, that building's been there for so
yeah.
I've never seen anything else. Okay, I've never seen anything else since I remember.
1910.
Yeah.
So you turned that into a creator's space.
Yes,
right?
It is.
Let's talk about like the creators,
venue.
right? Event maker. So like all the types of creating or events that you do there, like
we've had everything from TEDx's. We've had movie premieres. I definitely have film screenings. People can rent it for parties. Actually, what's happening tomorrow is the second installment of an exhibition designed by this curator named Rob Aioli, who works specifically in street and graffiti art. And so that's opening actually tomorrow.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Nice,
Also, do like a grand opening tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yo, I see it here first. That's gonna be the biggest.
Oh yeah.
Like place in the Bronx.
It's pretty hot.
You know what I mean? Like
for sure.
Because that's gonna be the place to premiere new artists and breakout artists, man.
Yo.
Watch.
And y'all have plenty of space too for people to like even do graffiti on the wall.
Oh no, that's what's up there now. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, they did. It's really kind of exciting. I actually haven't seen what they put up in the last couple days, but I'll see it tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean,
but
even let's bring back some hip hop in here, yo.
Yeah.
Yo, shout out to Smack, yo, URL, bring it back over here to the Bronx. We could do a nice little event here, yo.
yes, love that.
Right.
That'd be dope.
Yeah, but like it's pretty cool too, because you mentioned like your husband a lot too, and I know y'all both come from different backgrounds. So what was the first day like when you brought him over here to the Bronx?
You want to hear something funny?
Where's he from though? Where's he from?
Oh God, he's from cow country. No, I kid you not. He told me that there were more cows than people in his hometown.
Wow.
I did not believe him because I was like, that just doesn't happen. It's true.
Wow.
He can actually call cows. Like literally, we've like been upstate New York and Ireland. We roll up to a place where you can see cows, and he'll get out of the car and do this like god awful sound, but the cows will run to him. It's crazy. It was absolutely insane.
He's a cow whisperer.
Insane. And I was just like, and I'm like, there's cows running at us, and I'm like, ah! But he's like, don't worry. He's like, I got you, babe.
Yo.
It's very funny. But
master.
Wait, what was the question? I totally forgot.
So how was it bringing him to New York for the very first time and just seeing his reaction?
So he was living in New York for a while, but he hadn't been in the Bronx, which is sort of funny. And literally I didn't realize it was a date. He did, but I was just like, we're just chatting because I met him before, and he was just like, "Oh, I do film and production, so I can help you. I can do a promotional video." And I was like, "Bet." So we'll talk about it. And so he's like, "Let's talk about it." And I was like, "Okay, come up." And there was a really bad Spanish restaurant actually at where Bronxlandia is.
Okay.
Right on the corner at Hunts Point and Bruckner, and it was not a good spot. But I was just like, okay, that's the only place. That was literally the only place you could like have a drink or food here in the neighborhood at the time, other than McDonald's. And I was just like, all right, we'll go there. So meet me there. And I'll never forget, I came from my house on Medina Street, and I was like, meet me here. That's that place. And I saw him like standing on the corner, like waiting for me, looking around. It's like, where the hell am I? And I'm like, oh my
clueless, right?
God.
Just,
It's
Like the
what
Freshman's
did
of
I
Bel-Air.
bring him to? I should have just met him downtown. But
But you brought him up.
the rest is history.
You know what? He said, listen,
Yeah.
if you're going to meet meat, you're going to meet the real meat.
Yeah.
Okay? You're going to meet how the
And
real,
it's true.
real meat.
I was like, oh, I'll meet you downtown. He was like, oh, I'll come up and see you. And I was like, nobody comes up to the Bronx.
Yeah,
Like,
right?
really?
He was
Very
definitely
brave.
interested.
Exactly. So he knew it was a date. I did not. I absolutely didn't.
No,
But
very
20
definitely.
years later, here we are.
He
God
seems
bless.
special.
No, he
yeah.
is. God bless.
No, yeah,
God
very
bless.
brave of him too. Very brave of him for doing that. Because even like the way how you was describing it to him, and the fact that he said, "Yo, it sounds like a war zone out there." So
And I could tell 20 years ago he was much younger and he must have looked like a cop.
No, he had long hair at the time.
Oh,
He didn't
okay,
look
okay,
like- No,
okay,
okay.
he
Like a
definitely
rock
didn't look
star.
like a
Rock
cop.
star.
And he speaks fluent Spanish, so he
Nice.
could like.
is that actually how you learn Spanish though? From
No, I actually tried to pick it up around here, and actually I spent a month in Colombia.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah,
Look at
and
that.
that was hard because I knew if he was around, he'd try to speak English to me, so that because my Spanish is very bad, but his is really good.
I'm actually trying to learn Spanish now, and it's like,
What?
yeah, it's sad to say because I'm Puerto Rican, right? But I'm actually trying to learn it now. I'm trying to break the curse. So
Yeah, every
Oh,
so
no.
often we talk in Spanish on a text.
All right,
good.
all right, all right.
Definitely.
Okay, I fucked up, bro. I fucked up, bro. Right? Like, he brings it up every time. As you know, that's my son.
No.
Yeah.
yeah, we family oriented.
Yeah,
That's my cousin.
Wait, are you all fat? I didn't know. I did not realize that. Oh my gosh.
So, you know,
You did. Oh.
Yeah, so he brings it up all the time. Like, I messed up, bro. I get it. It's funny because I'm in the barbershop today, right? And we talking about all that, and I'm like, listen, man, I ain't gonna lie. I ain't teach my kids Spanish myself. Like, I spoke Spanish because my mom spoke fluently Spanish.
Yeah.
So in the household, I spoke Spanish.
Right.
Once I walked out the house, straight English.
Yeah.
So when I moved out,
Straight English.
straight English.
Yeah,
So
right.
You know, I messed up, bro. I'm sorry.
Nah,
Bro.
it's
I'm sorry,
okay.
bro.
Nah, my little man now is taking the initiative on himself.
How old is he?
He's 8.
Oh, good.
Yeah, if he hears me and his mom, me and my wife talking Spanish, he'll try to mimic it.
Good.
And then he'll ask us, "What did you say?"
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
what's
so happy to hear
Yeah,
that.
yeah, he's learning.
Because I'm older than all of you, but when I was coming up, there were definitely parents who were first gen were just like they didn't want their kids to speak Spanish, like which was just like, nah, you're here in America now, like this is what you need to do. And so there's a bunch of young people, we're not that young, folks my age, who Puerto Rican.
I will not let you think we are all young. Like,
Yeah, I'm definitely young at heart.
Yeah, man. Like, there's one thing I was having a conversation with somebody. Like, I'm like people say people are old, right? What is old? Like,
I
what
tell
do you
somebody
consider
to say
old?
It is a mindset.
It is a mindset.
It's an excuse. I don't care. It's an excuse. I'm sorry, because I know a 76-year-old man who can lift me up.
You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
You know what I'm
Like,
saying? Come on, bro.
no,
It's
so,
pretty true.
As long as you know you still moving,
No,
you going.
I'm
We still
I'm
young.
still
Yeah,
moving.
right.
I feel. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I totally do. But it's true. Like like that. Like I've like literally like I can think of 5 people my age who grew up around here whose parents were like no,
No. Man.
and it felt it was for their own good. And now I'm just like
Nah.
And now
No.
all they speak is Nuyorican.
yeah.
I guess I was just lazy to do it. I never would have probably like, no, I would not teach you Spanish. Like, I guess I was just lazy. But it's definitely coming in hindsight now. It's definitely not a good thing.
Yeah,
It's definitely not a good thing. You it's good to have those two languages.
Yes.
Or
Oh.
even multiple languages, if anything.
And especially you can take it everywhere.
Gosh,
I mean,
come on.
seriously. everywhere.
Yeah, you could. And like, so even get into that, because there's this topic that's going around with blacks and Hispanics. And I feel like what's going on in social media, they kind of like trying to differentiate us and make us separate. So you, like us growing up in the Bronx, you know, is we all together.
Yeah.
Right. So what's your take on that?
Oh, yeah, I think there is a huge black and brown divide. I think much of it, I mean, I do think all of it, because white supremacy is very real, and it has been used against us like for more than 400 years at this point. You know, and the easiest way to do it is to create anti-black bias and to actually function, you know, use that as a tool. And so, yeah, it is real, and so it does make me really happy, you know, to know that there are folks who are working against it, because the thing is like that it is like, especially in communities like this, it's all about dividing and conquering us.
Right.
And make us go against each other.
Yeah,
and
it's
you
just
and you even mentioned too. Sorry to cut you off, but you had mentioned that there was something going on with Iran, I think it was, right? And they had smugglers come into like the 80s in America with the drugs, and that was kind of like what started it off. Because now you had Hispanics and black people. Now they going against each other just for what? For the money.
yes.
Yeah. So that right there is how they try to, like, you know,
separate each other from
us.
each other. Because at the end of the day,
Well, they want us to kill each other.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
They want us to kill each other. Let's
Because
keep it frank,
one
right?
talented person in the community can teach everybody else how to be talented.
That is true.
Yeah.
But if they're really talented, I mean, the way that you really like make sure you control them is that you kind of make it seem like the dominant power structure, kind of like, you know, you're more like us than your community, and that really sets us up for a division, and we got to be real mindful of that. We really do.
You know, it's like what you just said right now with the whole that's why back then with slavery, that they would not let them read. Because they understood that if you read and you got knowledge, you could be as powerful as us.
Totally. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
So what they say, like, if you want to hide information from somebody,
Yeah.
Put it in
put it in
a
a
book.
book. You know what I'm saying?
We preach that a lot.
Yo,
too.
because it is true. It is
So
true.
sad.
And it
It's
is.
so-
And it is, because it's like, come on, man. Like, you're smart enough to know that you need to educate yourself.
Yeah.
To elevate yourself, to,
Right.
to go somewhere, right?
I know.
But
Like, oh,
what you don't do is like,
no, and don't you, like, it just drives me crazy. It's like, you know, when someone speaks, I can still hear somebody saying the same thing for you. It's like, oh, you know, oh, you talk white.
what the fuck?
I know.
Like, what the fuck does that mean? Like,
Be like, what you mean? I don't talk illiterate?
Yeah, I know.
right. Like, that's what you want me to speak, right? Like,
No,
I speak educated.
Yeah, so I had exactly that. But I was never forget this. I think I was in the 8th grade.
That's ignorant,
Actually, just
though, like.
gotten into Bronx science, and there was like some kids decided that they were going to like attack me a little bit, you know, for it. And then there was this young woman, who was my classmate, named Sherry Stewart. God rest her soul. She just passed away last year. Horrible car accident, but but we went to school here. But she was like the most popular girl in school because she was like just amazing, and she's like quiet, like watching these people like make fun of me, and because she was so popular, it's like she like stood up, and she's like, Majora's not talking white. Majora's an educated black girl, and I was like, and then they just shut up. And I loved Sherry. And I was like, because I couldn't defend myself like that. It was just sort of like, just whatever. But when Sherry said it,
Everybody listen.
it was just like,
The whole room's still quiet.
they did. It was just like, oh.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's just corny, bro. I talk white.
No,
Like,
Yeah,
it
like-
is. It really
And it's
is.
just like, oh, like only white people could be educated.
and that was the perception of what they saw from us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
you saw us this small.
Don't judge me because of what you feel.
Yes.
By
Get to
itself.
know me.
Or know that it's like you're judging me because of it's what you feel has nothing to do with me.
Don't judge
Like,
by
your
book by
opinion of
cover.
me is none of my business.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Just know that the fact is that I'm a very well-educated person.
Right.
Yes. And that is a fact. That is a fact.
And with a book out. So let's talk about you. Let's talk
Okay.
about your book, right?
Yeah. By the way, I love the book. Like, it's
Thank
very
you.
interesting. I'm on chapter 5 right now, and I could already tell.
He
what's
was
in it.
actually saying like, "Oh my god, this is a very dope book."
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, it is. I was stuck. I was just stuck reading it. I was like, wow.
We on a group chat, And he's not even answering. He's like, yo, I've been reading this book. It's good, bro.
I'm trying to tell him to do something for the podcast. He's like, no, Majora time. I'm sorry.
It's research. No, thank
You know what it
you.
is? Like, I get inspired by people that's from the Bronx, right? Because that's the closest thing that's to us. So I get very inspired, and just seeing that you doing it is very inspiring. So that's why I just love reading books like that.
Thank you.
So talk about it. What inspired you to do a book? And how did it feel the first time you saw it? Because I saw you, how exciting you was when you was like, oh my God, my book, my first book. Like, I felt it because, like, it's something that you hold joy close to you, right? It's something personal to you.
Yeah.
So speak about that journey on doing the book, right? And feeling how you felt when the book actually dropped.
Yeah. Honestly, if it hadn't been for the pandemic and literally, our clients, just our work just dried up, and suddenly I had a whole lot more time. And a publisher who'd been like literally chasing me for years, just like, you need to write a book. You need to write a book. Da, da, da. And I was like, okay, I can write a book now. So it was just, and I worked with this amazing editor named Steve Prasante, and we figured out the book. And he was right. He was like, look, at this point, you've got at least 5 books in your head. You got to figure out one and get it out. And it was this one. And it was really about the practice that we've been going through, to do what we do, but also like the why. And it really was, the history of growing up in a place where you were led to believe if you wanted to be anything, you had to measure success by how far you got away from it. And so it's the book really, it's not really a memoir, but it's about the journey to where we are now in terms of understanding that our communities need an approach to retaining the talent that's in here so that we could be the agents of our own recovery. Because, we call this, many people talk about communities like this, like the South Bronx, it's like either disadvantaged or underprivileged or under-resourced, and all those things are true. They're not untrue, but we think that really what we experience is a function of inequality. And so that's why we use the term low status, and because both people from the inside, but also those from the outside looking in, and often are the ones who are much more responsible for the conditions of our community than we ever will be. Yeah. They've created these very inequitable situations that we then have to survive in. And we do, obviously, many of us do, but many of them leave the neighborhood once we realize that, there's a whole big world out there. It's not this, and that the resources that we can find outside. And it's something just as simple as like where people spend their time and their money. And if you feel like you're not getting what you need in your own neighborhood, you will orchestrate the conditions for you to move out as soon as you can. But for our communities, as we've never had a problem with like amazing people being born and raised here, whether it's their, academically or artistically, definitely artistically, athletically inclined, but we do have a problem with keeping them. And when we lose those people, which is many of us, we lose their beautiful example.
Yeah, word. That's
and we also lose their money because they're not reinvesting in our own communities. And they often are the same people who often shed whether it's property, or business acumen, they're just like taking it with them and they go. And we lose that.
Right.
And we thought, and when I looked back at that, and I was like, I was one of those people. I was absolutely. It was like from all the time I can remember. It was like, oh, you're really smart. You're gonna grow up and be somebody. You're gonna get out of here. You'll make us proud.
That was in your plans. That was in God's plans.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm hoping I'm making some people proud.
No, listen, you definitely are for sure.
Yeah.
The fact that you just finished saying right now that I'm smart, I'm gonna be somebody, I'm gonna make it out of here.
Yeah.
And ended up here.
Yeah. That was God's plan.
You know what I'm saying?
Like the whole time. It's so crazy.
We all thought we was going to do something else. And it was like, what I keep saying, the divine misdirection.
Yep.
You ended up right here for a purpose.
Yes.
And all it takes is one person to make a change. So
Yep.
That's all it takes.
And you buzzing.
Yeah.
You buzzing.
Even when you started doing the whole research on on January 18th, 2021 for your book, the title of your book.
Yeah.
When you went out into social media and asked everybody, like, give me some advice.
That was so fun. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. I couldn't believe the response that we got either. That was deep. That made me feel like, oh my gosh, people are actually like paying attention. But yeah, but that's why the name of the book is the name of the book.
You can actually show the book too.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's right. You've got like
beautiful
this is the
cover.
one.
It's
Reclaiming
a very
your
beautiful
community,
cover.
isn't it?
It
So
really
this
is,
is
though, I'm not
also created by Bronx Boy.
Oh, okay.
Daggone. Let's see. Okay, what is?
That's dope.
Yeah, that is dope, though. That is cool.
See,
But
hometown.
Oh, the author picture is, and also he's not from the Bronx, but that's okay. He's from Harlem, but we love him anyway.
That's
our
cousin. That's
That's our
cousin.
cousin right there.
Exactly, he's our cousin.
That's our cousin right
That's
there.
cousin.
I know.
But with your book, right, if you could distill your entire book, Reclaiming Your Community, into one metaphor, what would it be?
Okay, I'm embarrassed to say like which one's the metaphor as opposed to.
Or any way that you can put it into one word.
Yeah, I mean, well, not one word.
Or one phrase.
Oh, it's the subtitle. You don't have to move out of your neighborhood to live in a better one. Yeah, totally.
I was there.
And
was waiting for you to pick it up.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing is for my my publisher was just like, most people actually people buy books, but many of them don't read it. So what you want to do is have a title that literally says it all.
Yeah.
And I was like,
which is a catchy, dope title.
it really
And
is.
just by even looking at it, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
wait, I'm
Yeah,
interested now.
No,
Hold
yeah,
up.
it is, and
It's
it's
true.
like I actually had posted it too on my Instagram, and one of my friends slid up, and he was like, "Yo, bro, I don't even read, bro, but the cover is fire."
Yes, it's very true.
It is. I mean, you used Reclaiming Community as New York City street signs.
Yes,
which is
exactly.
so
No,
dope,
we
you
had
know?
some amazing folks. Wait, I want to make sure I get the right. So Rush Humphrey.
Shout him out, yeah. Shout
Yeah,
him out.
so Rush Humphrey, but now I'm like embarrassed to say I can't remember your Instagram. But
We'll find
yeah,
it.
Rush Humphrey is the author of this, and the title is that's a whole other art form. And let's see, yeah, that's
street
a
signs.
really amazing dude named Mike Nichols, and he's from Oakland. But
okay.
yes, but no, but this was like I really worked really hard to get this design because it's like I don't know if you remember the lady in the window.
Yes.
What?
So she's
the one that used to be
there.
like this.
Yes.
I see you.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
I see you.
100%.
Yeah, she said it.
Well, I see
like,
your mama.
Yep, sitting on the door doing hair.
And the fact that you put the cafe right there is one of those
Yes, I
detail
love
like
that.
boom.
I did. I
Just
love
threw
that.
your cafe in there like
That
this
it does
is
not
fine.
have to be gentrification. It just has to be the community
Yes,
itself. to do
exactly.
something
And
like
it is. I mean, we like nice things too.
Yo,
Exactly.
facts.
Yep.
I
That's
like
why we
golden
did
glimmer
it.
things. They don't have to go downtown to go see
No,
it.
Yeah.
you know what? And I love that is one of the favorite things that I get to hear people say where they're just like, I can stay in my neighborhood and do some nice stuff. I'm like,
And it's not Starbucks.
and it's not stuff. So that makes me feel so good because it's just like, yes, like why do we think we can't have great stuff here?
Right.
I mean, think about it. Here at the Boogie Down Grind Café, right? I don't know if y'all heard it. Did we mention the bacon, egg, and cheese waffle at the beginning?
Yeah, that's
Yes,
what I
we
was
did.
just gonna. I was thinking about that too just now. I was like, yo, I'm still thinking about it ever since I mentioned it. I'm like, yo, one
That's
of
what
these-
came
really
across
good.
my head. Maybe because I'm hungry. I don't know. What it is, but yeah, that is dope. Come check her out, man.
Yes,
this is nice.
please.
Now, we
do.
definitely gonna put all the information on the description and all
Yes.
that, man, because this is a gem. This is a gem, man.
But real quick, I want to do a B-roll of the train right there behind.
Yeah.
Izzy.
Oh yeah.
That is so nice.
Oh,
Those
wow.
pictures right there. It's bringing me back to look like
Yep.
back in the day, man.
You know what's
That's
really
great.
cool when we get it occasionally, folks who did those, so if they're still alive, will be like, what? Or that was somebody's uncle, and da da da.
Oh, like
Yeah.
graffiti?
Yep.
That's definitely one thing
It's
about the
really
Bronx
sweet.
too. Like a lot of generations live here.
Yep.
A lot.
It's very
Let-
cool.
Let me tell you, in the 80s, those trains really, I know y'all probably, well, you know what, the cameras could probably see that. The 80s, the trains were literally filled with graffiti.
In and out.
Blockbusters
In and out.
and all that. In and out. Like,
Yeah.
whoa. Like,
Yeah.
you've never seen so much graffiti ever in your
I
life.
know.
Right? Like
Except
that,
in our
that-
bathroom, there's a lot of graffiti.
I see that. I noticed it. But that's a staple, right? Like
Yes.
that's staple of what all this is,
Yeah.
right? Is no inch gets left behind.
No.
Right? And
Not
that's
a
how
bit.
you know it's from one corner to one corner that
Yeah.
is hip hop oriented.
I know. We might have to replaster. We might have to do
Yeah,
more
big.
wheat pasting up here and other people, except for the one that, because Fab Five Freddy, who literally did both the first music videos for KRS-One and Queen Latifah.
Oh, wow.
And he came in here and signed that, so we're not going to cover
Really?
that.
No.
Yeah, we will leave that.
Yeah,
Yes.
no. Okay,
But-
so you want to make more space for other art. That's dope.
Totally.
That's dope, man. That's dope.
You're doing the thing here.
I
We
like
got
this,
free
man.
books here too. I just realized.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
You know, Juices for Life do the same thing. Like people come bring the books and all that, and that's dope too because you could come in. Like, how does that work here? Or the same thing, like get a book, give a book.
Or just take a book
just take a book.
leave a book.
You know,
Yeah.
the fact that you got that for educational purposes,
Yeah.
right? It's free to come in and do it. Go get a book if you want to really educate yourself. It's like a
100%.
library,
Yeah.
right?
You're definitely not a gatekeeper.
No.
No, come on.
I can tell too by even with these clothes that you have right here hanging behind
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, shout
Well,
out to
these
the
are
artists.
these are all designs made by local Bronx artists, and so it's like passive income for them. You know, there's like it's all over the place.
Okay, so cool. Now that you touched on that before we end this, like, talk about this right here because I seen that I forgot it was one of those posts that you was writing a check for the people that sell, like, you house these things for the artists and they're allowed to sell them here, right?
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that because that is dope.
Yeah, I mean, if we're limited in space, but what we have, the whole point of creating a cafe, like a third space like this, it's neither work nor home, where people can build community. These are people in our community who have stuff to share. And so, you know, through our point of sale system, they can put their stuff up and then they can sell it. And so it just gives them another opportunity to show what they do.
To grow. And,
Yeah.
That's dope.
I mean, Majora, you doing your thing, love.
We're trying.
Like, nah, trying should not even part of your vocabulary, love. You should just keep pushing.
Well, you know, you always want to like
Don't
how
say
you
humble yourself.
No. There's always room for improvement.
There you
Yeah,
go.
okay.
I love it. I love
Always
that.
room.
I love that part. Always room for improvement. That's what we do here at the podcast. Every day we learn from each other.
Yes.
And then like what you're doing here, we learn.
And we learn from our
from
guests.
you,
You know what I'm
'cause-
saying? Because
definitely.
What you do here is great. It teaches us like what we do when we did our pizza giveaway.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we did a school pizza giveaway one time, and it was
Nice.
pretty cool to an elementary school.
Aw.
So doing that, you know, seeing you do this, it kind of inspires us to continue to give back to the community.
and back in our hometown, right? It was in his school that we did it at, so it was pretty dope. Like,
Yeah, we always go back to the roots to make sure that the people from back. You know,
I
we
love
stay
it.
there.
So cool.
So Majora, like, if you had, you know, a couple of words to say to inspire somebody, you know, the next generation, or next kid, or the next girl, next boy, you know,
Next community
next
activist.
community activist, right? You know, what would it be?
I think share your talents where you are, because you literally have no idea, like, what your actions will mean for those around you.
That's how we do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that. I like that.
I really do. That's what Off Xperience is based off.
Yeah.
That's it.
Got
Listen,
it.
Majora, thank you,
this was a
you,
great
man,
episode.
for coming on our platform, man. It was a blessing. You know, it was very informative.
you for inviting us
man.
here in
Thank you
your
for inviting
home.
us to this nice establishment, man. Like, it's a beautiful place, man.
Thank you.
God bless it.
Yes.
It's up from here.
I
mean?
know.
It's up. It's up.
It's
and
gotta
stuck.
be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's up and it's stuck. You know what I'm saying? So with that said,
From
listen.
your mouth to God's ears.
Yeah, that's it. Peace, bless, love. Give thanks to that man above.
Live,
Yes.
love, prosper, y'all.
Big Bronx
Peace out.
energy.
Thank you.